The sun was dipping behind the hills when the roar of engines echoed through the quiet town of Ridgewater. The Iron Wolves, a biker group known for their rough looks but strict moral code, were pulling into their clubhouse after a long ride. Dust swirled behind their wheels as they parked in a row, chrome glinting in the golden light. Among them was their leader, Reed, a tall, broad-shouldered man in his early 40s with a graying beard and eyes that saw more than he ever admitted out loud. Reed switched off his engine, removed his helmet, and exhaled deeply. Another day, another ride to clear the ghosts in his mind. He glanced around at his crew: Joker, the tattooed prankster who laughed even in the worst moments; Bear, who looked as if he could break a wall in half with his hands; and Hawk, whose sharp eyes missed nothing. They were about to head inside when Reed froze. A small figure stood near the road, half hidden behind a broken fence. A little girl, no older than 7 or 8, barefoot, clutching a worn-out backpack, shaking. "Hey, you guys see that?" Reed muttered. The others turned. Joker stopped mid-joke. Hawk's hand instinctively drifted toward his pocket knife, not out of fear, but readiness. They weren't used to children showing up at their territory, especially not alone. Reed approached slowly, his boots crunching the gravel. The girl flinched. "Easy, sweetheart," he said softly, lowering himself to her height. "Name's Reed, what's yours?" She hesitated, eyes darting toward the forest behind her, as if expecting someone to appear at any second. "Lily," she whispered. Her voice trembled. "Please, I need help." Reed felt something tighten in his chest. There was a kind of fear in her that he knew too well. The fear of someone small facing something much bigger, and very, very dangerous. "What happened? Are you hurt?" he asked. She shook her head quickly, gripping her backpack straps. "No, but he's coming. He's coming tonight. My stepdad. He said he's taking me away, somewhere far. I don't want to go. Please, please don't let him take me." The bikers exchanged glances. Bear's jaw clenched. Joker's smile disappeared. Hawk stepped closer, scanning the road again. Reed kept his voice steady, though anger simmered beneath it. "Why would he take you, sweetheart? Where are your mom and dad?" Lily wiped her eyes with her small, dirt-stained hand. "My mom's sick. She's in the hospital. She can't stop him. He said when she's asleep tonight he's taking me, and no one can stop him because he's family." Her voice broke. "I don't want to go with him. He's mean. He hurts me when Mom's not looking." Reed's fingers curled into fists, nails biting his palm. He had heard stories like this before, too many, but something about this tiny girl standing alone on a dusty road, begging a group of bikers for protection, hit him harder than he expected. "Did you run away, Lily?" Hawk asked gently. She nodded. "I heard him talking on the phone. He said tonight was the night. I grabbed my bag and ran before he could catch me." Reed exhaled slowly. "All right. You did the right thing coming here." Lily stepped closer, desperate. "Please don't let him take me. You have big bikes. You're strong. People are scared of you. Maybe he will be too." The men stayed silent for a moment, not because they didn't know what to do, but because they all already knew what was coming. Reed carefully held out his hand. "You're safe now. No one's taking you anywhere." But Lily didn't move. Her gaze shifted again toward the road. Her breathing quickened. "He's following me," she whispered. "I know he is." As if on cue, the distant growl of an engine echoed from down the highway. Not a motorcycle, a car. Fast. Reed's expression hardened instantly. "Joker," he said without looking away from Lily, "get her inside." Joker nodded and scooped her gently into his arms. She held onto him tightly, burying her face in his shoulder. Hawk and Bear moved to flank Reed as he stepped into the open, eyes fixed on the approaching headlights. The car screeched as it turned the corner, dust billowing behind it. The driver slammed on the brakes right in front of the clubhouse. A thick, angry-looking man stepped out, red-faced and sweating. His shirt was half untucked, and his eyes were wild. "There you are," he shouted, pointing at the clubhouse. "Lily, get out here right now. You're coming with me." Reed stepped forward, blocking his view. "Kid's not going anywhere with you." The man glared at him. "Move. She's my daughter." "Stepdaughter," Reed corrected. "And she's terrified of you." "That's none of your business," the man snapped. "You bikers think you can play heroes? She belongs with me. Law says so. Now move before I call the cops." Reed smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Good. Call them. Then we can ask him about why a little girl ran barefoot across town to find strangers instead of going with her dad. Behind Reed, the rest of the Iron Wolves formed a silent wall of leather and muscle. The man's confidence faltered for a split second, but anger pushed him forward. I swear, if you don't hand her over. Hawk stepped closer, towering over him. Try finishing that sentence. The man staggered back, suddenly aware of just how outnumbered he was. But he still sputtered angrily, You don't understand. Her mom can't keep her. Someone's got to take her. I'm the only one she's got. Reed's voice dropped, deadly calm. We'll let the authorities decide that. Until then, you're not touching her. The man's eyes burned with rage. This isn't over. He climbed back into his car, slammed the door, and sped off, tires screeching. Reed exhaled but didn't relax. Men like that never gave up that easily. He headed inside. Lily was sitting on a couch, hugging her backpack, eyes wide and afraid. When she saw Reed, she stood quickly. Is he gone? She asked. For now, Reed said. But he'll try again. She swallowed nervously. What will you do? Reed crouched down again, meeting her frightened eyes. Sweetheart, he said softly, you ask bikers for help. He glanced back at his crew. Joker grinned. Bear cracked his knuckles. Hawk crossed his arms, eyes sharp. You're going to get more help than you ever imagined. Lily blinked, confused. What does that mean? Reed gently placed a hand on her shoulder. It means, he said, that tonight the Iron Wolves ride for you. And with that sentence, her life, and theirs, changed forever. Night settled over Ridgewater like a heavy blanket, thick with tension and the scent of rain that hadn't yet fallen. The Iron Wolves' clubhouse lights glowed warm and low, but inside, the air buzzed with unease. Bikers paced, phones rang, plans were muttered in gritty voices. Every man inside knew one thing clearly. Lily's stepfather would be back. Reed stood at the center table, arms crossed, staring at a worn map of the town. He wasn't looking at it. He was thinking, replaying the man's face, the anger in his eyes and the fear in Lily's voice when she'd whispered, He hurts me. That alone was all Reed needed to hear. Behind him, Lily sat on the couch, wrapped in one of the club's oversized leather jackets. It swallowed her tiny frame, making her look even smaller than she already was. She hugged her knees, eyes drifting toward the windows every few seconds. Joker knelt beside her, pretending to adjust her shoelaces. Hey, he said gently, you hungry? We've got pizza, fries, cookies, pretty much anything that's not good for us. Lily shook her head. My stomach feels weird. Yeah, Joker said softly. Fear does that. She looked at him. He's really coming back, isn't he? Joker didn't lie. Yeah. But he won't get past us. Lily's lip trembled. She didn't cry, but the fight to hold it in was written all over her face. She looked around the room full of leather jackets, tattoos, scars, and big boots. For a little girl, this world should have felt frightening. But somehow, it didn't. Bear approached with a blanket the size of a small tent and draped it over her gently. You're safe, he said in his deep, rumbling voice. No one's touching you. She nodded, though fear still clung to her like a shadow. Reed walked over and knelt, meeting her eyes. Lily, he said, I need you to tell me something. Has he hurt you before, or scared you? Lily hesitated, then opened her backpack. Inside were only 3 things: a small stuffed bunny missing an ear, a few clothes, and a folded piece of paper. She handed Reed the paper. He opened it slowly. It was a picture she had drawn, crayon scribbles showing a man yelling, a little girl crying, and a dark car. Underneath, in messy handwriting, she had written, I don't want to go. Reed felt his jaw tighten. He set the drawing down carefully so the others could see. Joker muttered a curse under his breath. Hawk shook his head slowly. Bear's nostrils flared like an angry bull. Reed placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Thank you for trusting us. Lily looked up at him. You believe me, right? He nodded without hesitation. Every word. That seemed to calm her. A little. But then headlights flashed across the window. Lily stiffened instantly. That's him. Hawk moved like lightning, peeking through the blinds. No, he whispered. Different car. Reed nodded. That's the sheriff. Moments later, Sheriff Don Briggs stepped inside. A tall man with tired eyes and a badge that looked like it carried the world's weight. He greeted the group with a nod before turning to Reed. Heard you had a situation. Reed didn't waste time. Little girl came running to us. Says her stepfather is taking her away tonight. She's scared for her life. Briggs sighed deeply. I know the guy, and I know he's trouble, but without proof. Reed cut him off. You want proof? She ran barefoot across town. Look at her shaking. Briggs's gaze softened when he saw Lily. Hey, sweetheart. She hid behind Reed instantly. The sheriff nodded slowly. Yeah, I get it. Reed stepped closer. You gonna help? Or let that man walk in and take her? Briggs hesitated. And that hesitation said everything. We need hard evidence, he said reluctantly. Hospital will want the mom's statement. CPS will need forms. It's late. Things move slower at night. Reed's eyes darkened. So you're telling me that until morning, she's free game? Briggs clenched his jaw. I'm telling you, the law is slow. Reed stared at him with a growing intensity. Then the law better move faster tonight. Before Briggs could answer, a sudden crash echoed outside. A bottle shattered against the side of the clubhouse. Lily screamed and bolted behind the couch. Reed spun toward the door. He's here. Hawk was already moving. Lights off. Bear slammed the switches down. The room fell into darkness except for a lamp near Lily. Outside, an engine revved. Angry footsteps approached. A voice, slurred with rage, shouted. Lily, you come out right now or I swear. Reed stormed out with Hawk and Bear flanking him. Joker stayed inside to protect Lily, hand on his hidden holster. The stepfather stood in the middle of the parking lot, holding another bottle in one hand and something more dangerous in the other, a metal tire iron. His face was twisted with fury. Where is she? You think bikers can hide her from me? She's my kid. Reed's shadow loomed over him as he approached. Put that down. You put yourself down. The man screamed, spittle flying. That little brat is coming home with me. Hawk stepped forward, voice low. Watch your mouth when you talk about her. The man swung the tire iron wildly, missing Hawk by inches. She's mine. Law says so. You can't keep her. Sheriff Briggs rushed forward, hands up. Sir, put the weapon down. The man ignored him and pointed at the clubhouse. I'll burn this whole place down. Try me. Then the worst thing happened. He rushed toward the door, toward Lily. Reed didn't hesitate. With a single powerful move, he grabbed the man by the back of his shirt and slammed him against the wall so hard the bottle shattered on impact. Touch that girl, Reed growled, and you'll pray for a jail cell. The man spat blood and kicked wildly. You're dead, all of you. I'm taking her. I'm her father. Reed's voice was ice. You're nothing. Briggs grabbed the man's arms and cuffed him, struggling to hold him still. You're done. That's enough. The man screamed curses as Briggs dragged him toward the squad car. Before being shoved inside, he shouted one last threat. This isn't over. I'll be back, and she's coming with me. Reed watched silently, fists tight, chest rising and falling with deep, controlled breaths. When the door slammed, the iron wolves all turned back toward the clubhouse. Inside, Lily stood trembling, tears spilling down her cheeks. Joker crouched next to her. Hey, it's okay. He's gone. You're safe. Reed approached slowly, kneeling in front of her again. Lily looked up at him, her voice barely a whisper. He's not gonna stop, is he? Reed swallowed hard. The truth clawed at him. No, he said softly, he won't stop. Her chin quivered. Then what do I do? Reed gently wiped her tears. You stay with us tonight, and we protect you. But what about tomorrow? Reed glanced at his men. They all nodded silently. Tomorrow, Reed said, we make sure he never comes near you again. Lily's small hand reached out and grabbed his. Please don't let him take me, she whispered. Reed squeezed her hand firmly. I won't, he said. Not now, not ever. But even Reed didn't know just how far the stepfather was willing to go. And before dawn, the Iron Wolves would face something none of them expected, because desperate men don't attack once. They come back with a plan. The sky was still dark when the first hints of dawn touched the horizon. A pale, nervous light crept across the biker compound, making the chrome on the motorcycles glint like watchful eyes. But inside the clubhouse, no one had slept. Reed sat near the window, staring out into the quiet street. Lily was curled up on the couch beside Joker, finally asleep after hours of trembling fear. Bear and Hawk sat by the door, keeping watch. Even the sheriff, who had left hours earlier after securing the stepfather in a holding cell, had warned them, he'll find a way to get out. Men like him always do. Reed didn't like the tone of the sheriff's voice. The unspoken truth lingered between them. The law wouldn't protect Lily in time. At 4:17 a.m., Hawk stiffened. "Reed," he whispered. "You need to see this." Reed joined him at the window. Down the road, two dark vehicles were slowly approaching. No headlights, no plates visible, no sound except the low hum of engines crawling toward them like hungry predators. Bear stood. "That's not just him." Reed nodded grimly. "He brought help." The vehicles stopped 100 feet from the clubhouse. 5 men stepped out, rough-looking, heavy, and clearly ready for trouble. At the center stood Lily's stepfather, freshly out of jail, eyes burning with vengeance. Reed felt heat rise in his chest. He broke out, or someone bailed him. Hawk growled, "Doesn't matter. He's here." Inside, Lily stirred awake from the sudden tension in the air. She rubbed her eyes, confused. "What's happening?" Joker placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Nothing you need to worry about, sweetheart," but she saw the look on Reed's face. And she knew. "He's here, isn't he?" she whispered. Reed crouched by her, voice calm but firm. "Yes, but listen to me. We're not letting him touch you. Not now, not ever." Outside, the stepfather shouted, voice cracking the cold air. "Bring her out. I'm done playing. That girl ice mine, and I'm taking her." Reed's face hardened. He stepped outside. His boots hit the pavement with purpose. The rest of the Iron Wolves followed like a wall of steel. "You made a mistake coming back," Reed said. The stepfather laughed, a wild, ugly sound. "No, the mistake was you putting your hands on me. You think bikers scare me? I brought my brothers." Reed's eyes narrowed. "Those aren't your brothers. They're cowards who'd help a man hurt a child." The biggest of the new men stepped forward, cracking his knuckles. "We don't care about the kid. We care about the money he promised." Reed blinked. "Money?" The stepfather smirked. "Her mom's insurance payout. Once she dies, which could be any day. I get it. Unless someone proves I'm unfit, and that little brat is the only thing in my way." The Iron Wolves went still. Bear's fists curled like boulders. Hawk's eyes sharpened into something deadly. Joker's smile vanished completely. Reed took a slow breath. "So that's what this is about." The stepfather pointed a shaking finger at him. "Bring her out before I burn this whole place down. You bikers think you're tough? I'll show you what tough is." Reed didn't move. "We're done talking." The men lunged forward. The fight was fast, brutal, and loud. Metal clashed with fists. Boots slammed into gravel. Grunts, curses, and raw power filled the air. Bear met 2 men head-on, throwing one into a parked bike and lifting the other off his feet like a sack of grain. Hawk moved with precision, dodging a swing and dropping a man with a single elbow to the jaw. Joker jumped over the railing, tackling another man before he could reach the clubhouse door. Reed went straight for Lily's stepfather. The man swung a metal rod, screaming in rage. Reed ducked, grabbed his wrist, and twisted. The rod dropped to the ground. "You don't deserve to be near her," Reed growled. The stepfather spat in his face. "She's mine!" Reed punched him with the kind of controlled fury that only comes from deep, personal conviction. The man stumbled back, bleeding but still trying to fight, clawing at Reed like a madman. Inside the clubhouse, Lily watched from behind the doorframe, trembling so hard her knees knocked together. She didn't want to be afraid, but seeing the man who had hurt her coming for her again tore open wounds she could barely describe. She whispered, "Please stop. Please stop." But the stepfather roared again, breaking free of Reed's grip and running straight toward her. "Lily!" she screamed. Reed moved with impossible speed, cutting him off just inches before he reached her. He slammed him against the wall, rage surging through every muscle. "You will never go near her again," Reed said, voice like thunder. This time the stepfather couldn't stand, couldn't fight, could barely breathe. The sheriff's sirens echoed in the distance, growing louder. His men were already on the ground, groaning or unconscious. The Iron Wolves stood together, bruised and breathless but unbroken. Sheriff Briggs arrived with 2 deputies. They cuffed the stepfather, who spat hateful words even as he was thrown into the car. "You think this is over? I'll get out. I always get out." Reed stepped forward, eyes cold. "No," he said. "You won't." Briggs looked at Reed, then at the little girl peeking from the doorway. The truth hit him, hard. "This time," Briggs said, "he's going away for a long, long time." The squad cars drove off, leaving silence behind them, heavy, trembling silence. Lily stood in the doorway, tears streaking her small face. Reed knelt in front of her. "It's over," he whispered. She threw herself into his arms. Her tiny hands clutched his jacket like she was afraid he might disappear. Reed held her gently, one large hand cradling the back of her head. "You're safe," he said again, this time with certainty. "I promise." Over the next few hours, the sun rose higher. The sheriff called with news. Her mother was awake in the hospital. She'd asked for Lily. She wanted her safe. She wanted her far away from the monster she'd married. Reed drove Lily to the hospital himself, riding slowly so she wouldn't be scared. When they arrived, Lily ran into her mother's arms, sobbing with relief. The woman hugged her tightly, whispering over and over, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Reed stood by the door, giving them privacy. After a while, Lily's mother approached him. "I don't know how to thank you." Reed shook his head. "You don't need to," but she insisted. "You saved my daughter." Reed looked at Lily, who smiled at him through tired, grateful eyes. "No," Reed said softly. "She saved herself. She just needed someone to stand with her." When they returned to the clubhouse later, the Iron Wolves gathered around Lily like a wall of protection. She looked at them each in turn. "Can I come visit you guys?" she asked timidly. Bear chuckled. "Visit? Kid, you're family now." Joker knelt beside her. "You ever get scared again, you come right here. We'll always ride for you." Lily beamed, a smile pure enough to melt steel. Reed ruffled her hair gently. "You're safe now. That's all that matters." And from that day forward, whenever anyone in Ridgewater spoke the name Iron Wolves, they didn't talk about the rumble of their bikes or the toughness of their crew. They talked about the night a little girl begged bikers for help, and the bikers who stood between her and the darkness. The night they proved that family isn't just blood. Sometimes family is the people who choose to protect you, no matter the cost.